April 2024 has been a month to remember, from the sun to the moon, a celestial spectacle.
To the passing of a community legend. We've got it all for you. Welcome to commUNITY.
Hi, I'm Claudine Ewing.
And I'm Pete Gallivan.
Welcome to commUNITY once again. And joining us today is Robert Lowry. He is the founder of Empower 716. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us about how you're celebrating young people in Western New York.
Well, there is a group of people, part of the Empower 716 Young Entrepreneurs of Color Committee. We came together to really look at how we can spotlight and recognize young entrepreneurs, particularly those of color that comes from underserved communities. And so we wanted to provide this opportunity to just really inspire them to continue the path, the entrepreneurial journey that they decided to take. This year, our theme is Dare to Dream, Dare to Do. And part of that is not recognizing that their vision, their dreams, but then they are taking the courage, the resiliency to take that vision and execute it, which is so important in entrepreneur.
Not only empowering, but helping them envision a future.
Absolutely. I think when I look at my own journey, I didn't step out into my entrepreneurial until I was like in my early 40s. And so these young people are starting from age 14 all the way to 25. That when you hear about the businesses, we have one of our honorees who created these bracelets to really advocate for autism. So it's just really important for these young people to recognize them and encourage them to go on this path. We want to make sure that we create a community that supports them, not only looking at this opportunity to recognize them, but create opportunities, networking, financial support as well. So the event is going to be held April 25th from 5:30 to 8 p.m. at the Powerhouse. And so tickets are online at empower716.com. We've been charged from a lot of our sponsors this year to look at how we could do more programming throughout the year to help these young people as far as brand awareness, marketing, and so forth.
Robert Lowry with Empower 716, thank you so much for joining us on commUNITY.
Thank you.
After talking about young people, we have to talk about the future, and that's what's happening with the 33.
Yeah, and also empowering people to get their point across.
Nobody gets to tell me that because I was not at the table 15 years ago, that I don't have a right to say something.
The discussions to reconnect communities started years ago with politicians and some community members.
Environmental can be many different things, and it can really be something as having a highway or having a park taken away, how those are in types of environmental stressors that can really cause harm to a community.
A few groups continuing community opposition against the Kensington Expressway project, a large turnout of residents and concerned citizens.
The movement did not die. We're coming harder. We're going strong, and we're not going to stop.
$1 billion has been approved by the Federal Highway Administration to cap a portion of the expressway as a way to reconnect communities and add green space.
It's not a matter of just taking the first thing that's offered, because the first thing that's offered is not always the best thing.
Opponents want a complete removal of the expressway.
A lot of the times when we see these big types of planning policies or planning practices, it's often targeted to disenfranchised communities of color.
We don't have a problem with traffic being on that thoroughfare, just like Skagway corridors got their wish come true. We think that Kensington and Kensington Expressway corridor, Humboldt Parkway neighborhood, Eastside Buffalo community residents living in the middle of the heart of our fair city deserve the same quality of life.
O.J. Simpson died of prostate cancer at the age of 76. Dr. Adam Sumlin, assistant professor of oncology at Roswell Park, spoke with us about the disease.
Yes, 1 out of every 6 African-American men will be diagnosed and develop prostate cancer in the United States. In the New York State, 15,500 African-American men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and 1,700 of them will probably die from the disease. It is curable if you reach it early, as it always says. But the thing with prostate cancer is that first stage of prostate cancer is based on you being diagnosed, and that's following with your DRE or your PSA. And the latter stage, stage 4, is that it metastasizes to your bones. But But for prostate cancer, you can be cured if you caught because it is a slow growing disease. And most men that get diagnosed with prostate cancer in their 50s and 60s will not die from the disease because they'll be cured before it comes back.
PSA is the prostate-specific antigen test, a blood test used to monitor or indicate if you have the disease. If your PSA level is greater than 4, then it is a sign that you should go to your urologist.
I will strongly urge all men that if you are diagnosed early with prostate cancer, get a second opinion, go to your urologist or your primary, follow up on the advice that they give you, and make sure that you get adequate treatment for the disease.
African American men should start getting screened at age 40. The CDC is considering lowering it to 35. Child abuse, it can happen at home.
There's sexual abuse, physical abuse, but also things like kids can witness violence in a home if there's domestic violence, gun violence, violence due to drugs. Any of those type of exposures we would call trauma and therefore can impact the kid's mental and physical well-being.
It's time that the difficult topic is discussed, and while child abuse is highly reported in Erie County, listen to this.
We still are seeing that less than 10% of kids report, and we'd really like to see all kids that are experiencing abuse come forward.
In the President's proclamation on National Child Abuse Prevention Month, Mr. Biden said there is no greater sin than the abuse of power, especially when the abuse is directed at a child. Does that give you all more fuel to fight?
Yeah, certainly that we're advocating for the rights of children, and children can't really advocate for themselves.
Change is possible. Talking about the issue, important. And if you're being abused, there's help. Here's the number to call.
The average age of disclosure of child abuse is 54 years old, which means that most children go through their life not telling anybody that this has happened. And it may create adults who think that this behavior is normal because it happened to them when they were children.
And with the growing refugee population, they too must be informed.
People not knowing the language, maybe people not knowing who they can call for help in different communities.
Again, help is available.
Coming up on Community, we'll look back on the day our community went dark and then light again. We'll be right back.
Pete, do you remember the day it was light and then it went dark?
And then it was light again. That was so where the birds got confused. People cheered. It was the great American eclipse.
Our Franco Ardito wraps up that day.
The eclipse, the great eclipse of 2024 at Niagara Falls.
This is something that we've been following for a few years now. And I saw the path of totality went right through Niagara Falls, and
hoping the weather cooperates.
I thought this is probably our only opportunity to see something like this, and this will be like our first major trip as a family, and I know she won't remember it, but
it's worth the 3-hour drive to come up here to see everything.
Hey, there's going to be a total eclipse. He already knew the path of totality. Let's go to Niagara Falls.
When your adult children go, can we do something together? It's like, absolutely. So here we are, and it's just a great experience watching an eclipse.
I want to go see the eclipse. The freaking weather was crappy everywhere across the country. If I go to Niagara Falls, at least I get something off my bucket list.
It's just going to be beautiful.
I'm just hoping the weather holds out and, those clouds go away.
Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
And you flew in here to Jamestown?
Yep, we flew in for the eclipse, and yeah, this seemed like one of the best places to catch it.
We went up on my clear run 1-3.
And they will be getting above the clouds if they have a flight during that time frame for the solar eclipse.
We went to one in 2017 in Alliance, Nebraska, and it was a great experience, so yeah, wanted to check it out again.
The sun has such a tremendous impact on our Earth. Obviously, we take it for granted it's there every day, but we're not able to completely understand its power and its effect on our planet. So when you have it blocked out, what we can do is we can see what happens to things like space weather.
I'm a scientist at heart. That's what I studied in college, and so there's that aspect of it.
When we block off the entire part of the sun and only see the corona around it, we can study those areas. This is the most active period for the sun in the past 11 years. It's on a cycle. So we're really looking at a golden opportunity now to see what kind of power it's emitting, what it does to our atmosphere, and how we can negate its effects on our technology.
There are some things in nature that, you know, like the heavens open up and show it, us, whether it's the northern lights or the eclipse, there's grandeur. And that's kind of what draws us to this.
But they say there's nothing like being in totality.
But we're not really sure, so we're keeping an eye out and seeing what's going to happen.
Let's just hope the cloud cover goes away.
Came out here to kind of watch it and see how the animals react.
We're excited to see if anything does come up. We're not really expecting much to happen. If anything, some of the animals, like the birds, might go to roost as if it was getting time to go to bed.
This is our second one.
Yeah.
Actually, it was his third, because we had one in May of '94,
Okay.
when he was born.
I saw a small little orange ball, saw the sun for a second. I know the partial eclipse starts in like 3 or 4 minutes, and hoping some of those breaks in the cloud over there get here during the total eclipse.
You do have, at least I know, one professor from Canisius College taking some careful observations today.
Yeah, her and her team are spread throughout the zoo with their data pads, so they'll be recording through the entire length of the eclipse to see if they see any changes in behavior.
No, literally. Nothing. Pure black. I saw the orange sun for half a second, and the clouds came right back on top of it.
It's starting to clear already.
It came out and disappeared again.
It's beautiful. Oh my God, it's pitch black out. Oh my God, it's so cool.
20 years from now, hopefully he'll look back and be like, I was there.
Wasn't expecting it to be that great, but it was.
I thought it was awesome. It was kind of scary at first because it was really dark, but then it was like, I heard crickets and it was like super cool. It was really cool getting to see like it was nighttime and then looking like the sun was rising like it was 6 a.m.
Oh, it was beautiful. Oh my God, it was nice to see. It was awesome.
It was awesome. We got above the clouds, got to actually see the sun get covered up by the moon. Got to see it look a lot like a sunset up there at 14,000 feet as it got to totality.
The point is not about seeing the eclipse, to experience the darkness, the full totality. That is amazing, right? We enjoyed it as a family, right? We loved it. You cannot explain the feeling that you get during this, the sun goes down, it becomes darker and become brighter again. It's amazing.
So it's really special, I think, all these people coming together, seeing something so unique and sharing it together. That's what we're excited about.
We have to give a shout out to those born on April 8th. Maureen Conley of Lockport got to celebrate her big day this year on the day of the total solar eclipse 2024. So did Suzette Williams Brown. She's 73 years young. She told us her present this year came from the universe. She had a solar eclipse party, including eclipse gum, moon pies, and space dunk cookies.
Coming up next, we're going to take you underground to an art gallery you may not even know is there.
And hear from the musician Stokely. I've been in train stations across Western New York, but you found something that I never thought was there.
Yeah, there's an art gallery featuring a world-renowned artist, and it's right there in the Metro rail stations. From the AKG to the Birchfield Penny, Buffalo boasts world-class galleries. But there's one that you may have never noticed, even though it's right beneath your feet.
People that are in our collection at the Buffalo AKG, they're in the Birchfield Penny, they're at the Met, they're at the MoMA, they're in San Francisco, they're in Europe, and here they are, right in our stations.
Yes, along the Metro Rail. Gretchen Groby of Explore Buffalo begins our train tour of the arts at UB South. And this work by Beverly Pepper, who's created large works around the world, including at the AKG. This sculpture frames Hayes Hall perfectly and depicts a drill bit emerging from the ground.
When you're in a subway, you're coming up from the earth.
Within the station, artist Stephen Antonakis lights things up with this neon and metal sculpture hanging from the ceiling.
And it almost helps you with the traffic flow, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It shows you the traffic flow.
And our traffic flow takes us to the Amherst Street station.
This is Richard Lobe, and he went down to the Niagara Gorge and found a tree that was growing out of a rock. And he brought sheets of aluminum and he formed the rock and the tree.
Its mirror image hangs on the other side of the window, blending inside and outside. At track level, Ray Hassard's neighborhood streetscape eerily follows you along the platform.
You can walk from one way to the other, and the houses just sort of follow you as you walk.
It's kind of like eyes in a painting in a haunted house.
Exactly.
On to the Humboldt station, where you're treated to a mosaic masterpiece celebrating Buffalo's classic architecture. It's a work from artist Joyce Kozloff, whose work also hangs in the AKG and galleries around the country.
So you can see parts of the City Hall, you can see parts of Frank Lloyd Wright, you can see parts of the Ellicott Square, you can see parts of the Guarantee Building.
The subterranean gallery continues at every stop. Local great Milton Rogovin also adorns the Humboldt station. George Woodman's linear flowers brighten up the Delavan station, along with this stunning tile work from Seneca artist Carson Waterman. The Utica station tracks are guarded by these metal figures, the work of New York City sculptor Craig Longiger. The Summer Best station has artist John Foll's work, serving as almost a window into the rock formation surrounding the station.
It was not only art pieces, it was art pieces specifically designed to represent the Metro Rail.
Mm-hmm.
Constance Connie Eve, wife of the former New York State Deputy Assembly Speaker Arthur O. Eve, strong, determined, an advocate for humanity and the dignity of women, and she was heard by leaders of the free world.
We assure you, Mr. President, that we will all continue to serve as models of empowerment.
She founded Women for Human Rights and Dignity, or WHRD, in 1980 to help rehabilitate women charged with minor crimes. It was a place for women to go instead of jail.
It didn't make sense just to provide an alternative for a place to live. We had to equip the women with what got them there in the first place that they didn't have.
When you see Dignity Circle in Buffalo, think about Connie Eve. She was behind homes specifically built for women in that program.
When you talk about giving thanks, I was allowed to do this.
I now give you Connie Eve.
Connie Eve often on political stages, whether it was with her kids running for office, and of course she was side by side with her husband. And when a mural was unveiled on a school named after her husband,
Claudine, this is indefinable. As gifted as I think I am with words, I don't have the words to describe this, because one of the most valuable things that we can all do more than ever is education.
A woman with a distinct voice, a retired English professor, always there for family and community.
Nothing like teamwork, the power of collective action. And he was blessed to be able to lead that and to produce the results. So I want to say thank you. Thank you. This is special.
An uncrowned queen, a community treasure, a woman who received her flowers and some while alive. Constance Bowles Eve was 91 years old.
I'm not trying to be the next person to get killed from being at the wrong place at the wrong time.
It's about a family in Cold Springs, that's the neighborhood that they're from, that deals with choices. It's all about how sometimes when people want to try to protect their family members from certain things, they make different decisions, and how sometimes those decisions can come back to bite you in the end.
You will see national rapper and Buffalo native Benny the Butcher in the film.
So when we were making this movie, it was a part that I just knew that he would be perfect for.
This film is the product of a special production company called FBE.
The only time we got to see anything from Buffalo was always kind of the Bills, the Rick James, anything that was associated, but people didn't really get to see our part of Buffalo, you know, the east side, the neighborhoods, and there was a lot of stories that could be told, you know, through our vision.
I don't know.
It's okay.
Why we need to put that image on the screen.
So this movie, Family Before Everything, shows the different dynamics that, yes, the street hustler goes out, you know, to get money for his family, but there's a whole nother dynamic that's in there, and I think that that other dynamic needs to be seen because the other perspective just has a flat face to it, and it's derogatory to some degree, but not without understanding the ins and outs of why it is that way.
Buffalo has a lot to offer, so I think everybody should come out and support.
Putting this film together took hard work. Just ask Assistant Director Paulette Harris about the local movie industry.
It's always about the unknown. When people are not sure, taking that chance, taking that risk. And so I think here in Buffalo, we have so many independent artists, so many smaller film companies, and we hope that people will invest in us. You know, not just us, but the other ones. Give everybody an opportunity. It has to be across the board. Some companies get more work than others, maybe because they know somebody. So what I'm saying is give everybody an opportunity.
Yeah, and speaking of opportunities, we've all heard of Rick James, the king of funk, right? Got his big break in Buffalo and beyond. Well, now his legacy is creating new opportunities.
A stage play, and the person playing Rick James is Stokely from Mint Condition. The Rick James story, based on books and memoirs, will come to life on stage in his hometown. His daughter says it's about protecting the throne.
He was more than the sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and we want to give the backstory and, you know, all the tea. We want to give all the tea.
It's a production that is said to be memorable, and having it in his birthplace makes it special.
This is the roots. This is our foundation. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for Buffalo, I wouldn't be here. So it's definitely surreal, and I feel like it's like a twilight moment.
The 2-hour production is jam-packed.
The highs and the lows, and we want to make sure that we don't sweep anything under the rug. You know, it's the good, the bad, the ugly, what most people's lives is composed of.
The things we likely didn't know will come out.
You know, the contribution that he made to our culture overall, the start with Neil Young, the start with Crosby, Stills and Nash, like everything that people don't know, that's what we want to, you know, magnify.
And playing the role of Rick James is Stokely from the group Mint Condition. Or what did you have to do to tap into that inner Rick James?
Well, it's a process. It's still happening. But the first thing I did was just dive into, of course, all the music, the records, any interview, any documentary, everything I can find just to figure out what makes him tick, all the nuances.
And while we all know Super Freak, Stokely says his favorite song is this.
You and I, we fit together like a glove on hand. That's right.
What surprised you as you were studying for this role?
He was himself, but at the same time, was a fine line of, you know, Rick James, the character, as well. And I think he wasn't oblivious to that. He was very, in some ways, probably playing that up a bit.
When we look at this, I thought, that's Rick James, but that's not Rick James, that's you.
It's wild, first of all. I would just say, being here in Buffalo, knowing that it's his roots, special, it's precious, you know, and that's the way we've treated the story, and just honored to be here.
What a great show, and to do it from the studios of Empower 716.
Yeah, I mean, such inspiration from the young entrepreneurs here to the stage show that you love.
I really did. So many things I want to say about that. Thanks for joining us on commUNITY. We'll see you next month.